Yeah, so the numbers are just such a trip, man. Go over that again, because we've been talking about that, but just for the sake of, I know we're going to be dropping this on a podcast, but go over those numbers again, Steve.
Yeah, so last week we did the Call Stars 50 Blitz, and we really challenged all of our members and the Alliance group and all of the people that are in the coaching and the mortgage marketing animals that we're going to do one day. Not only do we do our typical Call Stars 2 hours a day of outbound prospecting, Monday through Thursday, but we're going to do one day with the intent of having 50 great conversations.
Mm.
And Frank, so we started at what was it, 9:30 Eastern, and went all the way to you guys were on to like six or
Well,
seven.
yeah, no, it was like 5:30 p.m. Pacific.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but 6 or 7 East Coast time. But I mean,
right.
like it was we ran East Coast to West Coast, and the number one objective was with a really cool script, calling warm agents, agents you've worked with in the past, the agents that have been listing agents, Tuesday just ask clients and process database clients, sphere of influence clients, Thursdays pre-approved and looking. Like the goal was to get a list of 200 to 300 people in and around that you've had some experience with. We're going to make outbound calls, and those calls are going to have a specific call to action. Hey, who do you know that I should know or that you'd be willing to make a warm introduction to? And then, what can I do for you? Is there something I can do for you? So, Frank, the numbers and we had people self-report back what the numbers were, and this is a small sampling, but with the small sampling, it was about one-fourth of the group sampled back. 42, it's 4,197 outbound calls, 1,828 talk tos, 323 referrals, and 46 appointments.
Wow.
And the thing that is so powerful is with that, and I know for all of our listeners, if you've been along on the journey, we created the Fast Action 90-day plan, how to know how many agents to go after and how many
Hmm.
outbound calls you got to make. And we know the conversion. Why? Because we track the numbers.
Hmm.
Here's what's amazing. The numbers tell the tale. Like when you know numbers, Frank, it used to, you and I've been doing 24 years as of last week. I'm
Nice.
24 years in the business.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Uh, Hey, but you remember you'd have conversations and it'd be like, well, I feel like it was a good week. Man, I don't feel like it was a great week. And it was all this feels, like feels is running
Yeah.
around trying to tackle you. And I'm
Yeah.
like, how do I get rid of the feeling? Well, what I learned was when you have documents and data, feelings don't matter because the data will tell you if you did enough.
Mm.
That's it. Like, hey, I want to close 8 transactions a month. Guess what? We now know there's only one thing that needs to be done
Right.
based on the data that happened last week. And here's what's crazy, Frank. Carl and I and the marketing animal teams and we've intuitively known. Why? Because we're coaching hundreds of people a week. We're
Hmm.
all these people we're coaching. And so it's like intuitively we've known, but here's what it proved. Out of when you're calling these warm lists, now a totally cold list that nobody knows you, we know the conversion there is outbound calls, you'll talk to about 25%, 25 to 30 on a good day. But what we found on warm list is this, it's 44% of the time they'll answer.
Yeah.
And then Frank, if you ask for the business on the call, here's the mind blown.
This is crazy.
18% of the time they will have a lead for you,
Wow.
a relational lead. So what makes that so powerful is listen to this, Frank. And yesterday in the Alliance, by the way, if you're listening, and that's what we let's invite them. Can we do that? Like invite you to the Alliance because I did all of the Alliance coaching calls yesterday, and we ran through 13 lessons learned, and then built a strategy around this. But listen to this. Somebody who wants to close 8 more loans a month, if you ask the typical loan officer, they're like, oh, yeah, I'd love to close 8 more. Oh, it'd be great. I'm like, okay, what do we do?
Yeah.
What do you need to do? Well, I got to make calls. All right, who you calling? Uh, Agents. Okay. Like what kind of agents? Who are the agents? Like,
Yeah.
are you calling people, your sphere of influence, your past clients, your Tuesday just ask, Thursday? Like it's like they kind of know, but here it is right here. I will lay it out. If you do one thing for the next 60 days, in month 3, you'll be funding it. I believe I can't make an income claim, but the
Right.
data tells us you'll
Yeah.
be closing 8 transactions a month. And here's what
Mm.
it is: 13 hellos, conversations with an ask for the business will get you 2 referrals a day.
Mm.
Frank, that's
13
it.
hellos.
13 conversations, but here's the catch. A call without an ask is activity without results.
Right.
So you got to ask for the business, because what we've seen as well is if you make calls and don't ask, you don't get business you don't ask for.
Mm.
So there's only 3 scripts you've got to know. How do I say it with my current clients? How do I say it with agents that work with me? And how do I ask for the business with agents that aren't working with me, but I'd like for them to work with me?
Mm-hmm.
You know, those 3 scripts, it's game over, lights out.
Yeah.
So Frank, here's what I would say. 13 conversations a day will get you 2 relational referrals a day.
Mm.
If you do that 5 days a week, guess what? That's 10 referrals a week.
We're going to close 25% of those, basically,
Yeah,
right?
well, we ran the numbers at 1 in 5.
Yeah.
Now, you and I,
Oh, one
we
in
lead
five.
the
Okay.
network at, well, listen, you and I lead the network at Success Mortgage Partners. We get the honor of doing it together. Our numbers are 31% of the clients will lock in a loan and 24% will fund.
Mm.
So we're closer to 1 in 4.
Mm.
But let's just say the conversion's lower and it's 1 in 5.
Mm.
That means you got 10 referrals for the week. You're going to put 2 loans in your pipeline. Now, look, your first 30 days, you're just building your pipeline. You're pre-approved and looking.
Right. Right.
But by month 2, guess what? All I got to do is 13 conversations a day for at least 60 days in a row. And by month 3, your loans are moving in the pipeline.
Right.
We run in 90-day cycles.
Mm.
So the numbers taught us what we already intuitively knew.
Hey there, if you're loving the tips so far, make sure to hit that subscribe button and then click on the bell as well so you never miss out on more cool free tips coming your way. And also would love to hear from you. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think or what you want to see next.
You know, Carl and I have been talking to everybody in Alliance. Hey, and somebody may say, well, how do I get to 13 hellos a day? Typically, it's 25 outbound calls.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've been saying that.
Right.
Can you make 25 outbound calls?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you have 13 conversations a day?
Yeah.
But what we didn't have was the statistical data that actually backs it up and proves that you'll get 2 referrals a day if you ask for the business and outbound prospecting with 13 people a day in a week. Now, look, you may get 0 today and 4 tomorrow, 1 today, 3 tomorrow. But
Right.
the average is for every 13 conversations
about
when you
2.
ask for the business, you'll get 2 referrals. For every 10 referrals you get, you'll get 2 loans. You do that for 4 weeks in a row, you got 8 loans in your pipeline. That's if you convert it 1 in 5. If you convert it 1 in 4, you're actually at 10 to 12 loans a month. Frank, isn't that crazy?
It's
That's
crazy. And I think knowing, like you said, knowing these numbers and having tracked these numbers and have these things, figured out, right? And doing it through actual process of the call blitz and looking at actual numbers,
Real
and this is
numbers.
real time and this is recent. This is like now, so we can't say that was a different time or
Hey,
this is a different
listen,
time. Yeah.
All markets.
Yeah. All markets.
This includes like Ball Ground, Georgia, with 1 stoplight, and Houston, Texas, with 5 million people in the surrounding areas, and East Coast time zone and West Coast time zone, and areas that have snow on the ground and areas that have sunshine. Like, because what you'll hear people say is, oh, yeah, but that won't work for me. Well, what I love about what we're doing in the Marketing Animals and Breakfast Club, it's the sample is
It's all inclusive.
so diverse. That's what you're looking for. Like when the Barna Group does surveys and stats, it's the diversification to get something that's not biased. This is unbiased, man. And this was calling in the morning and calling in the afternoon, calling in the early lunchtime and calling all the way up to 5, 6, 7.
Right. Yeah.
And it's one of those where it's like, and I guarantee you, we're going to continue to track the numbers, Frank. It'll be spot on 10% up or down. And it's like, okay, so I know 40% of the people should answer. If they're not answering, then why are they not answering? So, but they should be answering. And if I'm talking to 100 people and I don't get 18 relational referrals, what's going on? I'm not asking for the business. My script is not dialed in. I'm calling the wrong people.
There you go. Yeah, that's it.
Maybe
and all of that, and all of that can be adjusted. All of that can be dealt with.
But that's why you got to get in coaching. That's why you in the community, because see what will happen is when you learn things, Frank locks up. This is as exciting as it was when we discovered the fast action 90-day plan. I'm like, Brother, this formula, if 99.999% of the market will never know and they'll remain lost,
Right.
wondering why it's not working. How do I get to, 8, 10 double digits? See, once you get to 8 to 10, 11, 12 loans, Frank, then it's just touch the lead, touch the partner. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And I mean, so I'm like, what? Come on, baby. Yes, because we're figuring it out mathematically and there's no
Right.
emotion. You know why, Frank? Here's what all you have to do as a loan officer walk in, and somebody's like, Steve, it's too simple. I talked to somebody yesterday in the alliance and they're like, man, this is too simple. And I'm like, yeah, but you know what? Now all you have to say is, am I willing to do the work? There's no emotion. Hey, are you willing to call? Like, you may call one day 18 outbound calls and have 13 hellos. You win. Stop. Go sit by the pool. Hang out with
Yeah.
your kids.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, legitimately, all I got to do is the activity to have 13 great conversations and ask for the business every time. And we know 18% of the time you'll get a relational referral. Dude, lights
Yeah.
out, man.
It is. Yeah.
So powerful.
But I guess what I kind of wanted to say is I think if you have the revelation of this, right, that should make it easier as a loan originator to decide to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of originators don't do it
Mm-hmm.
because they don't know, the truth about the numbers, right? They don't really,
Yeah.
or they don't believe it. But you can believe these because we are doing it. We are tracking it. We just did these calls. So we know. So, having that knowledge and knowing that this is real, now it should be a lot easier for an originator to say, okay, how do I get started? Let's start,
Yeah.
start figuring out who I call. Where do I get my list? Who am I
That's
calling,
right.
engaging with,
Yeah.
And so, I mean, what I would just say, if you guys are interested in learning more and getting started, where should we send them?
I'd send them to loanofficersuccess.com.
Okay,
Yeah.
loanofficersuccess.com. Let's go there.
Yeah,
And
go to loanofficersuccess.com because I'll tell you what, this is a lot easier than most people think.
yeah,
And I think you've got a real solution. Hey, and you know what? We'll do too. So you want to talk to our team about the coaching side of it, man. Loan Officer Success Alliance is a game changer, man. Just watching Frank, what's happening I was talking to one of the guys yesterday who was closing 2 loans this month. He came into Alliance closing 2, Frank. He's closing 8 this month. And I'm like, all you got
There you go.
And I know it sounds silly, all you got to do, but one of the takeaways from last week's activity was confidence, and I'll give you 2 of them. Confidence comes in taking massive action, not in preparing. How do I gain confidence? You just have to do it.
you do it. Right.
You know what else comes? Clarity comes from taking massive action.
Yeah.
And the challenge is we wait and it's like, I got to plan and prepare. No, what if you just jumped in, took action, and tweaked it along the way? That's how you win. And so go to Loan Officer Success. We'll help you with that. Man, I think that's where we ought to lead them, Frank. That
Yeah.
way, look, not only
That's a
are
place
we
to start, and then we can go from there.
yeah, and the team will help you. We'll help you figure out where to onboard it. Like, the key is just get connected. Whether it's Breakfast Club or whether you may be in a situation where you feel like, hey, I can't do what I'm doing where I'm currently at. They'll even point you back to us or something. So,
Yeah.
loanofficersuccess.com.
Sounds good, man. Loanofficersuccess.com. Get started. Awesome,
The
brother.
formula
Well, thanks, man.
that will change your life. I believe it. All you got to do now is take action.
The formula that will change your life. Fantastic stuff. All right, you guys, go to loanofficersuccess.com. Loanofficersuccess.com.
That's
get
it.
started. Let's get moving. It isn't that difficult. You can do this. You just got to know how to get it done. You guys have a
That's
good
it.
one. We'll catch up here with you later. See you then. Adios.
See you.